Hey guys, Amberalycee here. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. So as you can see from the title, I'm pretty much going to be sharing with you guys why and how I decided to start my own natural hair care line in what seems to be an already crowded market. So if you guys are interested, stay tuned. So if you are new here and you didn't already know, I did start my own natural hair care line and I launched it on April 2nd of this year. And I have 3 products. So I have a deep moisturizing hair butter, a moisturizing lightweight oil mix, and I also have a herbal infused oil as well. And if you guys are interested in checking out my website or checking out any of my products, I will have my products linked down in the description box below. And also, I guess I should tell you guys the name of my company is also called Classy Girl Essentials. So that is pretty much the gist of my hair care line and what I started off with. And so before I get into really any far details of this video, I do want to just issue a disclaimer. I do feel like my journey was spirit-led because this wasn't something that I just had a dream of or really just sought after to do on my own. About 7 years ago, I feel like God really gave me the name of my company, which I said is Classy Girl Essentials. I feel like I already knew that I wanted the word classy to kind of be incorporated in it. However, the full name, I definitely felt like it was divinely given to me. And like I said, this wasn't something that I just decided to do on my own because I was perfectly fine with just making my own natural my natural products for myself. But if you guys go back and look at any of my older videos, you will see that I've pretty much had a passion for this for a while not I started off, my channel was originally just natural hair content, and in a lot of those older videos you will see, if it's not only videos but also YouTube shorts of me kind of showing you guys just natural stuff I was making for my hair anyways. I made a lot of deep conditioners. I used to do my own aloe vera pre-poo gel to use before I would shampoo. So it's just a lot of different stuff like that I kind of already had on my channel. So it was already something that I was doing anyways, and definitely a lot of natural, just like a lot of natural remedy stuff for my hair. So that's kind of pretty much something that I just wanted to throw out there as far as why I even decided to jump into the realm of making my own natural hair products and starting my own line. I definitely feel like it was something that I was led to do more so than something that I just sought out to do on my own. And also with that, when I first started my natural hair journey, I would always get people asking me kind of how I grew my hair, what was I using to grow my hair, which is pretty much what kind of led me to even start my natural hair channel to begin with. And fun fact, I actually started Classy Girl Essentials was originally supposed to be a nail polish line. So that's what I mean by I feel like this was definitely spirit led, and this was 7 years ago when I first originally got the name, and now it is my hair care line. And so all the way from when I first decided that I was going to do this, I feel like everything just kind of fell into place, and it wasn't a struggle. Like, it felt like it was supposed to be happening. Even like there was a lot that went into the development of the products, trying to figure out the legalities of everything. And I feel like every time I would hit a bump in the road, literally like the next day or the day after that, I would be able to find the answer either online, or I would talk to someone that I knew that would be able to help me with whatever it was that I was stuck on at that current time. So I just want to roll all of the glory back to God, because this is definitely not something that I would have done on my own, just going out on a whim. So that is the disclaimer that I just kind of want to throw out there before we actually get into everything. So I'm going to kind of put this into sections, and I'll probably put timestamps so that way you guys can kind of find the information that you want. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is why. Then I'm also going to talk about how. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background information on myself that I feel like kind of helped with this. And then I'm also, I kind of already told you about the name, so once we get to that, I'll decide if I want to keep that or not. And then we're going to finish off with with kind of just starting and what I feel is most important or has been most important on my journey, and then I'll tell you guys about what's next, and that'll be pretty much it. So I am kind of looking down because I do have my laptop here. I wanted to kind of have some thoughts already wrote out, so that way I don't forget to tell you guys something important. And so we will go ahead and start with why. So as far as why I decided to start, outside of what I just told you guys initially, I pretty much was looking for a product. I felt like there wasn't really anything on the market that just 100% checked off of what I like to call my requirements for a hair product. I'm always looking for something that's obviously, number one, hydrating, because I do have type 4 low porosity hair, and I do have brands obviously that I love and products from brands that I love, but I feel like nothing was really providing my hair with the moisture that I was looking for more than like the first couple of days. So that's pretty much kind of why I decided to even start playing around with formulating, because I knew the different products, or like the different ingredients and products that my hair liked, but I wanted to create something that incorporated all of those to give me mostly, like I said, hydration. With low porosity hair, our hair is very hard to hydrate. Whenever we wet our hair, the water pretty much leaves just as fast as it enters, and you kind of have to stand under the shower head before your hair actually finally starts to absorb, or it starts to actually penetrate the hair strands. So that's very important for me when I am finding products or choosing products for my hair, because I know that I have low porosity hair that can tend to dry out pretty fast. So one of the things that I knew that I wanted in my moisturizing hair butter was shea butter, because shea butter is found in just about everything, or all of the butters and the creams that I noticed my hair likes. And then I kind of went from there as a starting point. I played around with other different butters, and that's pretty much how I came up with my moisturizing hair butter, which basically contains shea butter, cocoa butter, and Takuma butter, and the three of those together are absolutely amazing. And then there's also different oils that are in there as well, but those are my three base butters. So that is kind of how I started with why, because I was pretty much looking for to create something that I felt like was just missing on the market. Now I do have other butters that I've recommended on my channel that I absolutely love, but again, they didn't offer the hydration for as long as I would like. With my hair, with my moisturizing hair butter, I find that I don't really need to go and apply any more product throughout the week, and I can go a full week without ever adding moisturizing oil, and sometimes I don't even have to do that. So as far as my moisturizing oil, that was just, again, trying to find something that was going to be lightweight, and that I really feel like that was the main goal for my oil, was to find something that was lightweight, that could actually absorb into the hair without actually sitting on it. So that was kind of the idea behind my moisturizing oil. And then of course my herbal oil. I'm working on that because when I was wearing styles that were too tight on my edges kind of broke off, and I'll insert a picture here to show you guys what they looked like, and then I'll try to insert a picture of what they look like now. I pretty much wanted to find something that was natural, that would work really well with not only growing them back but also strengthening my edges, so I don't have to worry about them breaking off again. But of course this has been a part of, as far as my hair journey, just kind of learning what works and what doesn't work. So that is pretty much why I decided to start formulating and create my own line. Another thing was also, again, I have people asking all the time whenever I'm just out, whenever I'm at work, what is it that I use on my hair? How do I keep my hair moisturized? And I wouldn't be able to recommend them anything because, of course, I was making my own hair products at the time just for myself. So I don't think I mentioned, well, I mentioned that I would make things like deep conditioners and stuff like that, but I was also making these oils and my butter for myself, and I couldn't recommend that to them because it wasn't on the market. It wasn't anything that they could actually get their hands on. So I just decided that I was being asked this question enough. So I feel like that also played a part in me deciding to just go ahead and start my own hair care line. So now I'm going to move into how, and this how is pretty much going to focus on, I'll talk a little bit about how I guess I began formulating, and also kind of how I I guess how I started as far as with the information. So as far as formulating, again, it just kind of goes back to really me deciding what it was, or knowing already kind of what my hair liked. And to learn my hair, I learned that my hair really loved butters and thicker products. So that was kind of how I began choosing ingredients as far as formulating. And with the oils as well as the butters, I looked everything up. So I pretty much looked up whatever it was that I thought that I wanted to include in my hair care product, from the butters that I was using to the oils, emulsifiers, all of that stuff. I looked up what the benefits would be for it, and then whatever it was that I was aiming for in that product, that was kind of how I went through and I decided to choose what oils that I want to use and what butters that I want to use outside of the ones that I already knew worked well for my hair. So as far as my butter, it took me about 3 or 4 trials before I actually landed on the butter that I have now in my actual natural hair care line. I think it was that it's either the 3rd trial, it was either 3 or 4, but it didn't take me a lot because I kind of already had a base and kind of already knew what I kind of wanted. So I initially started out with a whole lot of butters, and I figured that wasn't going to be feasible, honestly, to be able to even afford making that. And I wanted something that was a little bit more simplistic as well, and I can definitely tell you with the formula that I have now, it just works perfect. As far as my moisturizing oil, I didn't really change anything. I think I had 2 trials because I ended up adding 1 more oil to it. And then for my herbal one, I also had 2 trials because there were more herbs that I wanted to add. So as far as trial wise, it didn't take a long time for me to really land on what it was I wanted my products to be. And then as far as how with the information, I pretty much just did what you guys are doing right now, how you are watching my video. I watched other videos of other creators that already started their natural hair care line. I pretty much anything that I thought of that I couldn't find the answer to, or I didn't know the answer to, I would literally just type it into YouTube and watch videos on that. I pretty much made me a playlist that would include all of the videos that I liked and I felt like the information was thorough. That's pretty much all I did. So I did that a lot for even still how to formulate. Yes, I knew what I wanted in my product, but I didn't know exactly what a formula was. So, or what they considered to be a formula. So your formula has to be, it has to equal up to 100%. So this is not a recipe where you're saying 2 cups of this, a half a cup of that. You actually have to do it in percentages because you have to be able to actually replicate the exact same product every single time. So they have batch calculators and everything like that. So if you are not good with math, you don't have to worry about that. And honestly, even if you are good at math, you can just save yourself time. Instead of doing the actual math, I just used the math to actually check to make sure that the batch calculator I was using was actually putting everything in the correct percentages. So I feel like that's the only thing that you would really need the math for. But there's plenty of different batch calculators on the internet. You literally just type it up and choose whichever one you feel works best for you. You can do it in ounces, pounds. A lot of them have it to where they will, you can say you want it in ounces, but it will show you in percents and pounds, ounces, or mils, whatever it is that you are choosing to use. Now, most people usually work in ounces or pounds. I feel like a lot of people work in pounds. I use ounces, but like I said, my paper that I print off still shows pounds as well. So that just depends on whatever it is that you decide you like to work with. But like I said, even starting with how to formulate, I watched videos of different people talking about explaining the actual process of how to formulate. So my butter is an emulsified butter, which basically means that it has a water component. So I have a water phase, I have a oil or my heated phase, and then I have my I'm forgetting what the last phase is considered, but it's basically my phase that doesn't get warmed up. So all of that stuff, just information like that, I pretty much just found that on the internet as I was deciding how I wanted to. You can choose not to do an emulsified butter if you don't want to work with water. I did a lot of research on trying to choose what preservative I wanted to use. A lot of information is online for that. Humblebee was one of the channels that I really loved when I was trying to figure out formulating kind of how you list your ingredients. Like all of that stuff is important. When you list your ingredients, it has to be in descending order. So whatever is the most of your product, that has to be the number one thing in your, the number one item listed, and then it descends from greatest to least. As far as listing out your ingredient list that goes on your labels. I looked up how to do labels, if I wanted to make my own label, if I wanted to design my own label. All of that stuff is online. Canva. A lot of people go use Etsy, which is what I did. If you want to find a template, if you're not really good at making your own label, or you're not really that tech savvy, you can just buy templates and erase out what they have and put what you want there. Some of them you can actually edit if you want to add different stuff as well, so you obviously don't have to leave it the same, but just that kind of stuff that I found. So it's pretty much a lot of research that goes into this. So that kind of goes into the how I formulated, how I learned to formulate, as well as how did I figure out all of the stuff that I needed. I literally used the internet. That is pretty much it. You can reach out to other content creators as well. If you have any questions, you can comment on their videos. You can DM them on Instagram. Some of the stuff that I needed help with, as far as like CPAs or different information like that, if you have people that you know that work in those different fields, feel free to reach out to those people to get different information as far as like the legal stuff that you need to take care of, or just advice on forming your LLC, different stuff like that. So you definitely have to be willing to reach out. You can't be scared. You gotta ask the questions that you need to ask in order to get the information. So that's pretty much all that I did. It was really just a mix between going online and reaching out to those that I could reach out, that I knew would be able to kind of help me in those areas. So I'm going to talk about a little bit more in detail, a little bit of a walkthrough of what everything I did from start to finish later in this video. So now I want to kind of give you guys a little bit of background information on myself that I personally feel also helped me when it came to formulating and different stuff like that. So I am actually a board certified and licensed medical laboratory scientist, and so I work in the lab. We do a lot of testing. I graduated undergrad with honors in biology and a minor in chemistry. And after I left undergrad, I went to my program where I became a medical laboratory scientist. And I feel like this helped me because in my field we have to do, and even in undergrad we had to do, of course, obviously a lot of experiments, a lot of like lab reports, hypothesis, all that kind of stuff like that. And then with my job now, there's a lot of troubleshooting, there's a lot of research and stuff that goes into it. So with that being said, I feel like it kind of already spoke to kind of who I was as a person naturally, with just kind of being curious about how stuff works and not just saying, oh, I like this, or I want to use this, I think this will make a good product. As I told you guys earlier, I did a lot of research on all of my ingredients. What are the benefits? How do they work? And not just saying, oh, I think that this would feel great, but also wanting to know how they work together. So as I mentioned to you guys earlier when I was saying how I was learning to formulate, some of your butters, a part of your trial is going to be some of your butters, they have different melting points. So if you don't have butters that are kind of similar in melting, some of them are going to melt faster, some of them are going to take a lot slower. And when you go to mix all of your components together, the ones that tend to solidify quicker at room temp, when you mix everything together, it can cause clumping. It can cause you not having kind of like a silky or a creamy texture. You'll have to find out what do you need to use as far as different waxes or different emulsifiers that will help kind of combat that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It's not just I like this and I think that this will work great together. You also have to factor in the properties of your ingredients and how they work, not only alone but also how they work together. So I feel like me just kind of naturally having that background, it it helped because it wasn't a chore. Like, it didn't feel like a chore that I had to do. I actually enjoyed the process of it. So you definitely want to make sure that this isn't just something you're doing because you think it's like cool to do, or you just want to say that you started a business. I definitely feel like I would 100% recommend making sure you are actually interested in it, and you also have a greater purpose outside of just wanting to do it because it just seems like something to do. So that's just a little bit of background information. And I also feel like it also helped because a lot of the different things that I'm working with, I understand it just based off of a science background. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background information on what I do currently, and kind of just like my educational background, and kind of how I feel like it helped with this entire process. Now we'll talk a little bit about the name, and this is going to be really quickly because I told you guys that I really feel like this was a name that God gave me 7 years ago. As far as the entire name, I mentioned that I knew that I wanted classy to be somewhere incorporated in it, because I've always just kind of been intrigued with the classy, the elegant, sophisticated, smart woman. And I felt like I wanted, whatever my brand was going to be titled, I knew that I wanted to incorporate that somehow in it. So that's pretty much why I chose to go with that. Nothing really other than that as to why I decided to go with that name. I feel like that's something that I embody, and it's the way that I see myself. So I wanted my brand to actually reflect that. So that's just, again, to reiterate the name. I have it as a section, so I just decided to go ahead and sum it up again for you guys. Now we're getting towards the end. I have about 3 more sections to talk about. So this section is going to be a little bit more in detail, and it's pretty much just telling you guys to just start. And I feel like the biggest reason that a lot of people don't start their business is because they tell themselves that they'll start it tomorrow, or they'll work on it next week, next month, and that time never comes. It's never going to be like a perfect time to start, because you're always going to be busy and there's always going to be something else fighting for your attention. So I feel like you just have to be disciplined and start. What I did was I started with the small stuff. So I pretty much made a phone note in my iPhone, and I literally listed out everything that I knew I was going to need from beginning to end to start my business. And then I started with all of the small, easy, simple stuff to build momentum, to make me feel like, okay, I can actually do this. So I'm going to actually read off what I have by section. What I had, I had a section started off with socials, what social media platforms that I want to start with, products I was considering making at the time, a website to choose for my host site. So I'm using Shopify, but I wrote down just different sites that offer different sites that you can actually sell on, like Etsy, Wix, GoDaddy. Also, my next section was things that I needed to get set up, like my LLC. I needed a domain. Did I want a trademark? Getting my EIN number, a virtual address, label, vendor, and other important legalities that I knew that I would have to take care of. So I had an entire section for that. I had a section for supply vendors. Who did I want to get my oils from? Who did I want to get my butters from? Where I'm going to get my containers from? That was all under that section. I had a list of my friends to be testers, so I ended up going with 7. I ended up having 7 testers, and I did it based off of two of my friends have locks, and the rest of my friends pretty much wear their hair out. But I wanted to make sure I got a wide range of friends, so that we all have different hair types and porosities, so that way I could get good feedback on my products. And then I had a section of a list of formulations to try, and then I also had a section of definitions of certain things that I didn't understand, or words that I needed to understand whenever it came to working on my actual product line. So just by doing that, like I said, I had those in sections, and then underneath each section I listed out whatever it was that I needed for to work on. So like I said, just start with the stuff that's simple and easy, and build your momentum that way. And I plan on taking these sections that I just mentioned to you guys. I actually plan on breaking these down in a video, so that way I can tell you what did I do, or who did I use for my LLC, domain, EIN, virtual business address, all of that stuff. I'm going to do an actual video just from this section alone, because I feel like that will be very helpful, not only if you're deciding to start a natural hair care line, but this is also information that you can use for whatever business that you're deciding to start. So of course, mine will be tied around me starting my hair care line, but I think that that is some information that a lot of people will find helpful. So I do plan on filming a video for that. So now I'm going to go to my second to last section, which is what I find to be most important. And I feel like the most important thing that you should consider and do before starting any business venture is to seek God and really figure out, is this the calling and the purpose that he has for you, or is it just something that you're just doing because, again, you think it's cool, or if it's just something you're just doing to do. Alright, so you'll probably notice that it changed because my camera actually got overheated. So I'm going to do this last part quickly because now I'm having to use my phone. I am by my window, so it got overheated. But what I was talking about was the most important thing being making sure that this is actually something that you're being called to do. Well, for me, because I'm a firm believer in Jesus Christ, and that is who I go to seek, is this what I should be doing? Is this not what I should be doing? And pretty much just surrendering my will for his. So, and like I said, I told you guys, I feel like everything was spirit led. I feel like every time I came across a bump in the road, I was able to get the answer, and it was just kind of smooth compared to what I was doing with social media influencing content, and even with other endeavors that I had prior to this one. Everything just flowed easily for me, finding the information that I needed and having people put in place to actually help me whenever I got stuck. So that is one of the things that I personally feel like is the most important thing. You really want to make sure that this is something that you are called to do, and that it is the purpose. Now, it's not to say that you can have this, you can have a business, or you can start a business and it not fully be your purpose. It can kind of just be something on the side. But I just feel like, for me personally, just based off of my experience, that is something that I would highly recommend whenever you are considering, starting your own business. As this natural hair care line, I feel like doing this has been very fulfilling for me, because I feel like it's not just about me, and I feel like it's something that I can actually give back to others. I'm very happy that I can finally put something out on the market that I created that will also help other naturals in their journey, especially my type 4 girls, because we struggle so much with trying to find products that will just simply moisturize our hair. And so this entire process has been fulfilling. I love when I get to make my products, and it just doesn't feel like a hassle, whereas other things that I have pursued prior to this just kind of felt like, after a while, it was more so like a task, and it wasn't something that I was really enjoying. But I haven't felt that way about this all the way from start to finish. So even with the research and everything, all of it, I just pretty much enjoyed it. So that is pretty much what I feel like is most important. So what's next? I'm pretty much planning on filming a video for you guys. Like I told you, that list that I had in my phone note, I'm gonna go back and look at that. Everything that I did, from kind of who I chose to help me with the LLC, all of that kind of stuff, I'm going to do a video for that, because I feel like it will be very helpful for any of you guys that are considering starting your own business, whether it be hair care or whatever. I feel like it would be very beneficial for you guys, just because all of this information will be in one place. You won't have to search for it. That is pretty much it. Just make sure that if this is something that you really feel like you want to do, be willing to put the work in, because it is a lot of work. And like I said, it took me a 6-month period to get from start to finish. So just be willing to do the work. Take time, take breaks, don't overdo it. Whenever you feel like you need to break, take a break, but just make sure you're not taking a break and you never go back to it. And that's pretty much all that I have today. I just wanted to kind of tell you guys a little bit about my journey and of why and how I decided to start my natural hair care line. So that is pretty much going to be it. If you guys like this video, please do give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, I wanted to let you guys know, feel free to ask whatever it is that you need to ask me down in the comment section. I really do try to do my best to respond to every comment. So if you comment something, I will do my best to answer it to the best of my ability. I want to just throw that out there for you guys. You can ask me questions and I'll be more than willing to share my experience or whatever it is that I can offer for you guys. I will be more than happy to do that. So that's pretty much it. Check out my website and my products down in the description box below. It is pretty much just www.classygirlessentials.com. You'll find all of my information there. Also, make sure to follow us on our socials as well at Classy Girl Essentials. And that is pretty much it. And so until next time, I will see you guys in my next video.